I was in awe of him. We're pretty much the same age, but he was light years ahead of me in terms of the industry and the business of show. And I was maybe in my third or fourth year of the show with him. And he brings one day into rehearsal hall, slaps a book down in front of me and says, read this. I said, why? He says, I've just...
December 14th, 2025 became a day Hollywood would never forget. Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle were found deceased at their private home in Los Angeles, leaving an irreplaceable void in the hearts of the public. The news spread across the United States like an emotional tsunami, leaving millions of fans stunned by the sudden loss of one of the most talented directors of his generation. But what shocked people even more was the reaction from Sally Struthers, the former co-star of Rob in the legendary television series All in the Family. After more than 4 decades of silence, Sally finally chose to open up and reveal secrets that had never been told about the complicated relationship between her and Rob Reiner. What Sally shared sent shockwaves around the world. It turned out that behind the image of the perfect on-screen couple, Michael and Gloria in All in the Family, lay a story filled with pain, distance, and unspoken emotions. The truth Sally had kept hidden for so many years was now brought into the light, painting a completely different picture of the bond between these two stars. This was not just a story of professional friendship, but one of unrequited love, devastating rejection, and emotional wounds that never truly healed. In 1971, when Sally Struthers first stepped onto the set of All in the Family, she was a young, passionate actress eager to prove her talent. When she first met Rob Reiner, the son of legendary director Carl Reiner, Sally immediately sensed something special. Rob was only 23 at the time, youthful, talented, and surrounded by an indefinable aura that drew people in. But to Sally, he was more than just a colleague. He felt like a kindred spirit, someone she believed she could share her deepest thoughts about art and life with. Their chemistry on screen was undeniable. Together, they learned how to understand and adjust the script, creating moments so natural and authentic that audiences truly believed Michael and Gloria were in love off-screen. Rob often displayed his creative genius by rewriting dialogue directly during filming to better match the live audience's reactions. Sally deeply admired this ability, the way he could transform dry lines into vibrant, emotionally charged dialogue. Over 8 seasons, Michael and Gloria became symbols of youthful, progressive love, earning Sally 2 prestigious Emmy Awards and paving the way for Rob's later legendary directing career. But behind that dazzling spotlight was a secret Sally carried in her heart. At the age of 78, when she finally decided to speak out, Sally admitted a truth that stunned many. She had genuinely fallen in love with Rob from their very first moments on set. This was not ordinary professional affection, nor simple admiration for a talented co-star. It was real love, the kind that made her heart race whenever Rob entered the room, the kind that followed her thoughts even when she was away from the set. Rob's eyes and smile held a strange magnetism that made it impossible for Sally to maintain the emotional distance an actress was supposed to keep. Every intimate scene, every embrace, every on-screen kiss only deepened her emotional turmoil. And then came the day Sally gathered all her courage to confess. It was an afternoon after filming, as the Los Angeles sunset filtered through the studio windows. Sally approached Rob and asked to speak with him privately, hoping for an honest conversation about the feelings overflowing inside her. But what she received was a devastating coldness. Rob shook his head and said in a distant tone, "Sally, don't do this. We're colleagues. We have to live with dignity." Those words felt like sharp knives piercing her heart. She stood there, forcing a smile to mask the pain and humiliation tearing her apart inside. From that day on, everything changed. Sally had to learn to act not only in front of the camera but in real life, pretending nothing had happened, pretending the rejection had left no wound. But Sally's pain did not end there. One day, Rob pulled her aside on set and delivered a strange warning. He told Sally not to approach, smile at, or speak with Penny Marshall, his wife at the time, when she visited the set. The reason he gave sounded practical, yet deeply painful. Penny suspected there was something going on between them, and Rob wanted to protect his marriage by creating absolute distance from Sally. For Rob, it may have been a rational decision to preserve his family, but for Sally, it was another blow to her self-worth. She felt pushed out of the warm circle she believed she belonged to, forced to endure Penny Marshall's cold, suspicious glances without fully understanding why. Every time Penny appeared on set, Sally had to remind herself, don't look too long, don't smile too brightly, don't do anything that could be misinterpreted. It was an overwhelming emotional burden that no one truly understood. When All in the Family ended in 1979, Sally hoped their relationship would ease once they no longer worked together every day. But reality proved to be the opposite. Rob became more distant and colder than ever. He rarely called Sally, and when he did, the calls were strange and confusing. Rob would tell a short joke and then hang up abruptly, without a greeting or a word of concern. Sally was left bewildered, unsure how to interpret those calls. Were they Rob's peculiar way of staying connected, or simply meaningless habits? Over time, the calls grew less frequent and then disappeared altogether. Sally wondered what she had done wrong to lose a close friend like that, but she never found an answer. The year 2003 marked one of the most painful moments in Sally and Rob's relationship, a moment Sally could never forget, no matter how hard she tried. It was a glamorous evening at a famous Hollywood theater, where stars gathered under flashing cameras for the premiere of a highly anticipated film. The bursts of photographers' flashes blended with the buzz of laughter and conversation. Standing in the crowd, Sally felt a flicker of excitement knowing that Rob would also be there. Deep inside, after years of distance and silence, she still held on to a fragile hope that they might talk, that something might finally change. When Sally spotted Rob across the hallway, her heart began to race. He was still handsome and composed, his hair more silvered but his gaze just as sharp. Beside him stood Michelle, his second wife, elegant and radiant. Summoning all her courage, Sally raised her hand, waved, and called out his name with a bright smile, hoping her voice would be warm enough to melt the years of ice. In that moment, she imagined Rob smiling back, walking over to embrace her like an old friend, laughing together about memories from the All in the Family set. But reality was cruel in a way that cut deeply. Rob turned to look at Sally, and in that brief moment she could see something flicker in his eyes. Perhaps hesitation, perhaps unease, or even a trace of awkwardness. But then his face instantly went blank, like a mask put on swiftly and expertly. Rob walked towards Sally with steady but unenthusiastic steps, extended his hand, and offered a handshake so formal it felt cold. "Hello, Sally. Nice to meet you," he said in a polite yet distant tone, as if she were merely an acquaintance he had just been introduced to for the first time. There was no hug, no friendly smile, no sign whatsoever that they had once spent 8 years playing husband and wife on screen, sharing countless unforgettable moments and occupying an important place in each other's lives. Sally stood there, trying to keep a smile on her face, but it felt as though someone had just slapped her hard in front of the crowd. Rob held her hand for a few brief seconds before letting go immediately, as if touching her were somehow uncomfortable or inappropriate. His gaze did not linger on her face, but swept past her hastily, as though searching for someone more important in the crowd. Sally could sense Michelle standing right behind Rob, the woman's eyes carefully yet cautiously observing every movement. It was in that exact moment that Sally understood everything. This was not natural coldness, but a carefully calculated performance. After Rob and Michelle walked away, Sally stood frozen, as if she had lost her soul. Around her, the noise of the party continued, but to her, everything seemed distant and muted. She felt a sharp pain radiate from her heart throughout her body. It was not only the pain of rejection, but also the pain of invisibility, the feeling of being erased from a part of history, from memories she believed belonged to both of them. The years they had worked together, the laughter, the conversations after filming, all seemed to mean nothing to Rob anymore. Or rather, Rob had chosen to erase all of it in order to protect his present life. In the days that followed, Sally could not stop thinking about that encounter. She analysed every detail, every gesture, every word Rob had used. Gradually, she began to understand the reason behind his coldness. Rob had gone through a failed marriage with Penny Marshall, a marriage that Sally suspected had been partly affected by suspicions and jealousy surrounding his relationship with her. Now, with Michelle, Rob had clearly decided not to let history repeat itself. He wanted to prove to his wife that Sally Struthers was not a threat, that their relationship belonged entirely to the past and no longer held any meaning in the present. By treating Sally like a stranger, Rob was sending a clear message to Michelle. You don't need to worry about this woman. She means nothing special to me. Sally understood that, and in some way she could empathize with Rob's decision. He was trying to protect his marriage, trying to create a safe environment free of doubt for the woman he loved. But that understanding did nothing to lessen the pain she endured. Because to Sally, what Rob did was not simply creating distance. It was denial, the erasure of a shared history and of genuine emotions they once had. She felt as though she had been turned into an inconvenience, a potential threat that Rob needed to remove from his life. And the most painful part was knowing that there was nothing she could do to change it. In the months following the 2003 event, Sally faced a difficult decision. She could continue trying to maintain some form of connection with Rob, sending messages or making calls to check in, hoping that one day things might be different. But she knew that would only bring more pain upon herself. Instead, Sally chose another form of self-protection. She decided that if she ever saw Rob walking toward her on the street, she would slip into an alley, find a way to avoid him, so she would not have to face that cold rejection one more time. This was not cowardice, but a reasonable act of self-defense by a woman who had been hurt too deeply. She did not want to put herself in a situation where she might see Rob turn away again, or feel like an intruder or someone shamelessly clinging to a relationship that had long since died. But that decision also meant that Sally had to accept a painful truth. Rob Reiner, the man she had once loved in silence, the man she had once considered both an older brother and a kindred spirit, had truly disappeared from her life. Not disappeared in a physical sense. They still lived in the same city, still worked in the same industry, but disappeared emotionally. The Rob that Sally once knew, the man who had created magical moments on screen with her, no longer seemed to exist. In his place was a stranger, a man who had chosen to build high walls around himself to protect his private life, even if that meant sacrificing relationships that once held deep meaning. At 78, Sally Struthers remains actively engaged in the arts and maintains an optimistic spirit. She appears in stage productions, participates in charitable projects, and stays connected with fans through social media. But despite her radiant exterior, the pain surrounding Rob has always lingered quietly in her soul. It is the kind of pain that can never fully fade, because it is tied to a part of her youth, to the bittersweet memories from the set of All in the Family. Whenever she watches old episodes, Sally cannot help but wonder, would her life have been different if Rob had not rejected her back then? Could they have remained closer friends if she had not let personal feelings override professionalism? And then, December 14th, 2025 arrived, bringing devastating news that made Sally feel as though her entire world had collapsed. When she learned of Rob Reiner's death, Sally could not believe her ears. It was an unbearable shock, because despite the hurt and the distance, Rob had always remained an important part of her life. He was the older brother she never had in real life, the kindred soul during the most beautiful years of her career. Rob's passing robbed her of the final chance to have an honest conversation, to ask him why he had treated her that way, to understand what had been in his heart all those years. Now, with the last secrets finally laid bare, Sally Struthers lives with a permanent ache. If they had spoken the truth earlier, if Rob had not chosen distance, if she had not allowed personal emotions to complicate everything, would their memories of each other now be less painful? It is a question she will never have answered. But one thing is certain. The story of Sally and Rob is a reminder to all of us. Never let unspoken words and unexpressed feelings turn into lifelong regret. Because when death arrives, it takes with it every chance to reconcile, to understand one another, and to love each other more fully.